Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Now, for those of you who are still here and didn't just give the video a thumbs down and left halfway through the opening pre-intro sequence, and yes, I admit, it is very, very easy to just cherry pick from all of the available clips to present a segment that supports whatever argument you might be trying to make. It's very easy for me or anybody to put together a clip where one Midway defeats 4 enemy ships, 2 of whom were cruisers with undamaged AA, one of which was captained by somebody who had heavily invested into anti-aircraft skills. That doesn't actually prove anything. So in the interests of providing a fair and balanced perspective, here's a Russian cruiser. Now, I'm willing to bet that's not something you've ever heard anybody say on YouTube or ever expected to hear anybody say on YouTube. Nevertheless, here it is. This is Missile Tiger in the Petropavlovsk, the Soviet Tier 10 heavy cruiser. This was the ship that replaced the Moskva at the top of the Russian heavy cruiser line, alongside the Tier 10 light cruiser, the Alexander Nevsky, with the Moskva becoming a premium ship instead. It is definitely a better ship than the Moskva was. I mean, the Moskva wasn't a bad ship, but the Petropavlovsk is better. Much better gun handling. The turrets are able to rotate a full 360 degrees, so you can bring the guns to bear on targets on either quarter much faster than you could in the Moskva. The guns fire armor-piercing shells with short fuses at velocities of 1,000 meters per second, which means that as well as having the best armor-piercing penetration of any of the tech tree cruisers in World of Warships, she also suffers rarely from over-penetrations. She has a 12-kilometer radar, and with a full stealth build you can get the concealment down to 12.4 kilometers. She also has access to the defensive fire consumable. She sits very low in the water, making it difficult to hit her citadel, and she's well armoured, with a 50mm icebreaker bow, which allows her to bounce shots even from a Yamato or a Shikishima, and a 50mm midships deck, which not only reduces her vulnerability to high explosive spam, but also makes it difficult for her to be citadeled with armor piercing from long-range plunging fire. On the downside, she is very, very big, with a huge turning radius and a slow rudder shift time. Her high explosive shells are not particularly good, although as you can quite clearly see, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the armor piercing shells. The poor performance of the high explosive shells means that she can often be at a very great disadvantage if she gets caught at close range by an enemy destroyer that she didn't already detect with her radar. Broadsiding Minotaurs, however, that are caught on rocks at any kind of range are rarely much of a problem for this ship. There's the first blood award, and he's already shooting down aircraft, and yes, it is a Midway. So what else is bad about the Petropavlovsk? Well, not a lot. It's true that the citadel does sit above the waterline, but, well, the ship itself sits fairly low in the water, so there's not that much visible citadel above the waterline in the first place. It's true that the ship can take a massive paddling if it exposes too much broadside to armor-piercing shells, but, well, that's kind of true of any cruiser. Like the Des Moines over there, who was in cover behind the island off to the right, and then decided it was a great idea to instead steam out into open water, get his engine disabled, broadside on, in front of the Petropavlovsk, firing 1,000 meter per second, short-fused, armor-piercing. Missile Tiger's fired up his radar because, well, that's an extremely suspicious-looking and very angry smokescreen up there, and destroyers at close range like that Halland are exactly the sort of thing that the Petropavlovsk is most vulnerable to. The Des Moines apparently didn't get the memo that he should be switching to high explosive when firing at steeply angled and heavily armoured targets like the Petropavlovsk, and sure enough, here come the Halland's torpedoes. He's only going to take 2 of them. Unfortunately, it's a Halland and not a Shimakaze, so it's not that much damage. He switched to the high explosive in order to deal with the Halland, and that's what he has loaded for his parting shot against the Des Moines before he does manage to get back into cover around the other side of the island. Now, if he'd had the armor piercing loaded for that final parting shot against the Des Moines, he might have been able to finish him off, but the high explosive did set a fire, which is going to prove to be very, very fortunate, because despite the underwhelming performance of his high explosive shells, he did set a fire that finished off the Halland, and the fire that he set on the Des Moines finished him off too, so there's a double strike for kills number 2 and 3 at more or less exactly the same time. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, Isn't he being a bit aggressive here? Yeah, he is. He's been very aggressive. I mean, at the moment, Yamato isn't even looking at him. And he does get kind of unlucky here with the armor-piercing performance. On the broadside of the Yamato, he's looking for that citadel, but he's just not finding it. But the reason that he's being very aggressive here is because the Petropavlovsk... Ooh, speaking of which, there's an enemy Petropavlovsk. It is possible to citadel a Petropavlovsk if you give enough broadside. There you go, you see? You just have to aim right down at the waterline. But the thing about the Petropavlovsk's guns is that they do suffer from a feature that's common to some of the Russian ships, in that their accuracy improves dramatically the closer you are to the target, and vice versa. The further away you are from the target, the less accurate the guns are. Which is another way of saying that when you're in the Petropavlovsk, fortune favours the brave. Petropavlovsk captains who take the bull by the horns and push in close to the enemy often die, but can pull off amazing things. You just have to be either extraordinarily lucky or very good, or a combination of both. Oh, what is the Yoshino doing? Oh, no, you don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that. Oh, no, what is he doing? Oh, Yoshino captain's turning to get the torpedoes away. They all think they're in big destroyers, that's what it is. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, and you probably haven't, because there's been a lot going on to distract your attention as Missile Tiger gets even further stuck in and delivers a couple of doses of extremely unwelcome surprise butt sex to the Yamato there, and there's kill number 4. But Missile Tiger's managed to shoot down 28 aircraft. Although, to be completely fair, unlike in the pre-intro sequence at the beginning of today's video, I don't think any of those aircraft have attacked him directly. And now Missile Tiger finds himself in an interesting situation. I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that his team are going to win this game, but is that Thunderer going to be able to take him down before this happens? And now the Midway is definitely attacking him. However, have a look at the points. He switches to the high explosive at first to start shooting at the Thunderer, and I think that it's at about this moment that he realises that the enemy team are down to 30 points as well, which means one more kill and the enemy team are done. Oh, and by the way, there is the Air Defence Expert Award, 35 air kills. And it looks like he shot down that entire Midway squadron. And the Midway is going to be a lot easier to sink than the Thunderer is, since he has no island to hide behind, and he's showing broadside, and he has a citadel. And the Petropavlovsk is armed with 220mm guns that fire short fuse armour piercing shells at a velocity of 1000 meters per second. So rather than continuing to spam his not terribly effective high explosive at a slightly angled Thunderer, he switches to the Midway instead. And I'm actually losing track of the citadels now. But I note that he did just get a Confederate and a high caliber award to go with the First Blood double strike Kraken Unleashed that he just got for sinking the Midway, and air defence medal that he got for shooting down 38 of its aircraft. Oh wait, my mistake, 39 aircraft. I think that's more than the Cleveland and the Hindenburg between them in the pre-intro sequence got combined, not counting all of the harmless fighters they shot down. So what exactly does this prove? Well, of course it doesn't prove anything, does it? Like I said, it's extremely easy to just cherry-pick the content that you want to support whatever argument you're trying to make. And to be honest, I'm not even really trying to prove a point. I'm not even trying to say that a single Petropavlovsk, by virtue of being significantly more Russian than a Hindenburg, Cleveland, Midway, and Yugumo, managed to do what they combined couldn't. I just thought it was kind of funny. And hopefully you lot have been entertained too. Missile Tiger, extremely well done. It's so gratifying to see controlled aggression like this being appropriately rewarded. So well done on the achievement. Everyone else, I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.